So if you're the kind of person who thinks, all I got to do is say I believe in Jesus, check the box, do a little baptism, somebody will dunk me, then I go on with the rest of my life to live as I see fit, you are way far away from what these first Christians thought. Everything changes when you start to think about what God is doing in the world. The full number, again, around 7,000 at this point, the full number of those who believed in what? They believed and trusted in Jesus. That's the summary there. Were of one heart and soul. Why? How does that happen? We haven't figured out how to do that yet. We're working on it. They did because his heart and soul was now becoming theirs. That's what happens when the mind of Christ, the Spirit of God, now takes up residency in you. And all of them were born again. Okay? One heart and soul. And here was the effect, the first effect. No one said that any of the things that belonged to him was his own. Why? It's not mine because I'm not mine. If I belong to the Lord, then everything I have also belongs to the Lord, right? He kept going. They keep going. But they had everything in common. Koinonia is the word there. And with great power the apostles were giving their testimony. To what? To the resurrection of the Lord Jesus. And great grace was upon them all. Let me ask you a question. Come on, Bible students. Put that back up there. What's with that last statement? What does this have to do with giving away all your possessions and having everything in common? Why does Dr. Luke, who wrote this, feel the Spirit of God advising him to put in there about the resurrection of the Lord Jesus? Can I tell you why? Did a lot of thinking about this. Because it's the resurrection that does the work of reorienting your mind about your possessions. How does that work? Well, if Jesus gave up everything, which he did, right, including his body, and then rose from the dead and owned everything, and he says that when I die, I will be resurrected from the dead, and I will inherit the earth, doesn't that change how you look at your possessions? Even if you have to give up everything to follow him, and you die cold and alone in the street. When you are resurrected, you inherit the earth. So what have you lost? Talk about a radical reorientation on material stuff. There was not a needy person among them. Whoa. Huge statement. Why? Because they reprioritized people over possessions. That's why no one was needy. People over possessions. For as many as were owners of lands or houses sold them, and brought the proceeds of what was sold and laid it at the apostles' feet, and it was distributed to each as any had need. Please, big time out. Big time out. I said this a few weeks ago. I had actually written an entire sermon based on this, and I put it aside because there was something more important I needed to tell you. But a side note, this is not communism. And it is not socialism. This is voluntary redistribution of their wealth, but they still maintain their own ownership of it. Okay? How do we know that? Just read the rest of the New Testament. They still owned their own personal property. This is not compulsory. This is voluntary. It was an act of worship, an offering that they were making and laying it down at the apostles' feet. He, Jesus, was in the world, and the world was made through Jesus. Yet the world did not know him. Knowledge, intimate knowledge, like a husband knows his wife. There's a relationship there. The world didn't know him. That's what he's saying. Why? Because we were separated from God. We had no relationship because of the darkness of our sin. He continues. He, Jesus, came to his own people, the Jews. And his own people didn't receive him. They don't want a relationship with him. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Time out. Jesus came, what John is saying, he came to restore a broken relationship. The way God created human beings, His image bearers, was as a father to children. And it broke because you're a sinner and so am I. The whole purpose of Jesus was to restore a broken relationship. That's what this is all about. Giving people the relationship of a father to a son or a daughter. That's why He came. And we were born, it says, who were born, not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor the will of man. In other words, you couldn't do this yourself. You couldn't be religious enough to fix this relationship. You couldn't do it, but of God. So, because the relationship, the restoration of this relationship with God, was the whole purpose Jesus came, and this was His highest value, this was now the highest value for all of His followers. Prioritize people over profit. Prioritize relationship over the building and amassing of wealth. Invest in eternity, and you will find one day that you have made yourself rich toward God.